Today's 5-minute clinic is on tendency tones. A tendency tone is a note that has a strong tendency to resolve to one specific place or note. The first tendency tone we'll learn about is a leading tone. Here's a tendency. When a 5 chord goes to a 1 chord, there's a strong tendency for the leading tone, scale degree 7, to go to the tonic, scale degree 1. So for example, in this progression in the key of E flat, we have a 5 chord, and it's arranged like this. And here, on top, is the leading tone. That D has a strong tendency to go to E flat. The rest of the chord will be filled in that way. The exception is that sometimes, in order to have a complete 1 chord, especially at a cadence, the leading tone in an inner voice, alto or tenor, can sometimes go to scale degree 5 rather than scale degree 1. Here's how this exception might look. Let's take the same 5 chord, only this time we'll put the leading tone in the alto instead of in the soprano. Now when we go to 1, if we want a perfect authentic cadence, in a case like this, rather than the D going up to E flat and having an incomplete 1 chord, sometimes composers have the option of going down to scale degree 5, so it sounds like this. Tendency tone number 2, the 7th of a chord. The 7th of a chord, whether it's a 5/7 chord, which we've learned about already, or some other kind of 7th chord, tends to resolve down by step. Here in this progression, where we've got 5/7 to 1 in the key of G, the 5/7 chord is D, F sharp, A, and C. C is the 7th of the chord. The C, therefore, has a tendency to go down by step to a B, and we've learned that a complete 5/7 goes to an incomplete 1, like this. We have an exception to this rule. The exception is in a particular progression when the outer voices move in tenths for a 1, 5/4/3, 1/6 progression. The 7th of the 5/4/3 resolves up by step. So in this progression here, notice we're moving in tenths. G and B, A and C, B and D. In a progression like that, the 7th of the 5/4/3 is C in the soprano. Instead of going down to B, it goes up to D, so that the outer voices move like that. In order for that to happen, of course, the 7th of the chord C goes up by step and not down. And in the alto voice and soprano, that's a diminished fifth moving to a perfect fifth. But that's the exception. That's today's 5-minute clinic.